All right, so example number 2. Taking a look at each of these examples, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, well, that kind of looks like this one. But then again, it also looks like this one. But what's the difference? Well, right in front here, we have a 1. It's invisible, but it's there. Okay, so that matches the simple trinomial. The difference is, with the complex trinomial, you have an actual number in front that's other than a 1. But in this case, since it's a 1, this is a simple trinomial, and we're going to break it down to the 2 brackets. Okay, so when we factor, it will look like 2 brackets with an x and an x, because we're dealing with x's. And then we're going to have 2 numbers here and here, and that's what m and n represent. Now, the difficult part is actually figuring out what these numbers are. And the way that we do that is your 2 numbers have to multiply to this back number, and they have to add to this middle number. So your product or your multiplied number has to be negative 18, and your sum or your added number has to be positive 3. So you're just thinking of 2 numbers that multiply to negative 18 and they add to 3. So I'm thinking, okay, numbers that multiply to 18. So on the side, I might just write some notes. Okay, 1 times 18 is 18. 2 times 9 gives you 18. 3 times 6. I'm just going to keep going. Notice that I'm going in order. It kind of just helps me to remember what numbers I've tried. Now 4 doesn't really go into 18. And 5 doesn't really go into 18, but 6 does, and that kind of brings me back over here because it's going to be 6 and 3 again. So these are all the numbers that make 18 through multiplication. Now the thing is, none of these pairs add up to 3. So that's a problem. Now if you notice, it's a negative 18. So it's kind of like you're adding to 3, but you have to think about, well, there's going to be some symbols that go with these numbers. Let me give you an example. These 2 right here have a difference of 3, which is what I'm looking for. Now you're going to say, well, you just said a sum of 3. Well, to get a negative 18, when I multiply these 2 numbers together, one has to be a positive and one has to be a negative, because a positive and negative multiply to a negative. So what if we had negative 3 times positive 6? That makes negative 18. And they also add now to 3. So these are my 2 numbers that I'm looking for. I'm going to put the negative 3 right here and the positive 6 right here. And it doesn't matter which order, these could have been switched. Okay, so there's my answer right there. And just to check it, I'm going to take my answer, x minus 3 and x plus 6. And then I'm going to expand it. So the way that we do that is we use FOIL. So I'm going to multiply the first in this bracket, first in this bracket. X times x is x squared. So that was f for first. O is for outside. So these are the 2 outermost, the ones on the very outside. We're going to multiply those together. So x times positive 6 is positive 6x. I for inside, that's these 2 on the inside. And when I multiply those, I get negative 3x. And then L for last. Negative 3 times positive 6. Those are the last in each bracket. That's negative 18. Okay, and we're just going to simplify now. So collecting like terms, these are the only 2 that we can put together. Get your x squared by itself. Those 2, when you add them, make positive 3x. And then you just put the last one at the bottom. All right, and this looks a lot like that one. So we know that our factor is correct. Okay, and the last step, if your instructions ask you to solve it, you then take your factor, brackets, and you make it equal to 0. It's important to write that down. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at this case. Well, what if x minus 3 is equal to 0? What is x equal to in this case? Bring the 3 over and you get x equals positive 3. Then you're going to look at the other case, x plus 6 equals to 0, and you're going to move that positive 6 over. And your second answer appears as negative 6.